Cleaning up shit. This is not against Starbucks, it's against my store. It was against my store. Hello guys, this was the most voted for topic for my next YouTube video, my second YouTube video, my Starbucks horror stories. Well, let's get right into it. I am going to be reading off of the computer just to make sure that I hit the bullet points and tell you all of the stories and the horrific things that happened to me. Let's go ahead and crack open the archives of horrific experiences that I had at 76 and Columbus at Starbucks. I started when my parents told me that I needed to get a job. And mind you, I was still in my final semester of college and my classes were still at nighttime. But they were like, you need to get a job immediately. I still was doing tons of hours in schooling, in rehearsal. Oh, there's my cat in the background. I love that. And, you know, as a young 18-year-old that was still following the rules, loser, I went and found every resource I could for an outside world job. And someone that I knew had connections with this one Starbucks on 76th and Columbus. So I put in my resume, all eager, excited, ready for the future of possibilities of coffee and where this road could take me. Well, a couple days later, I get a call that I'm coming in for an interview, and I interview with the store manager. We'll call him Johnny. Yeah, right. And Johnny and I, we hit it off. We were pals, chumming, and he seemed really excited to bring me on board. Before I knew it, I was hired. We get to my first day of work, and it's all rainbows and butterflies, and it starts at 5 a.m. That should have been my first red flag. I'm not a morning person. And even though I only lived 6 blocks away, I still had to wake up at stupid o'clock in the morning. Not a morning person now, even though I still wake up really early for work. I really wasn't then, because I was still doing classes at nighttime, remember? That was quite a challenge. But even though I thought it was the best thing ever, I was handed a recipe book. And I was flipping through, and there's pictures of the drinks and the breakdown of how to make them. And I was told to flip through them until I got comfortable. And I was like, comfortable with looking at them or ready to make things? Another red flag. Spoiler alert, this was the moment that I should have left because I never learned not a single drink during training. And training lasted about, I don't know, 30 minutes. All of the drinks I made were guesswork, or what my coworkers, outside of the side of my eye, I'd look and see how they were making those drinks, and that's truly how I learned. I learned by doing instead of the actual recipes of how to make these drinks the way people would want them and like a base level of how they should be made, and then you can add in all the fun things. What I did know that I did hate making was frappuccinos. Mind you, I was someone that used to order frappuccinos. Bruh. I used to order a venti before I worked there. A venti caramel frappuccino with extra caramel drizzle.
He needs some milk.
Never again. Although I was a twink then.
A lot of people who know exactly who they are.
So I could handle it. Now, that would go straight to my bazookas. Truly, those drinks are pure evil, and if you order them, you are in cahoots with the devil. Sorry, hate to say it. I learned that I hated this when I made my first by hand. So that was a full circle moment for me. I was like, wow, I'm never gonna drink that ever again.
Right.
This is a horrific process to make happen. They tell me it's been about a half hour and they need me on the floor immediately, and I've had enough time looking at this children's book of pictures and recipes, and that I needed to step right into the absolute nightmare, and it was all downhill from there. Except for 2 specific customers, but we'll get there later on in the story. Other than that, it was pure chaos every single day from the moment I clocked in until I clocked out of that shift. I stepped out up to the register, and Jesus Christ.
Jesus is the bread.
From that moment on, there was no turning back. I probably should have quit. Yeah, Okay. But I was 18 years old. I didn't know any better, and my parents told me I needed a job, so I was like, you know what? I'm doing the right thing. I will say, as they had me ring things in, I started getting yelled at for not yelling out the drinks. Now, I will say, they had me ring things in, and I was just ringing in the drinks because people were ordering them. So I rung them up, wrote them on the cup, and then put them off to the side. And then I got yelled at by my coworkers that I was not doing my job right, because how were they supposed to know what drinks they needed to make if I didn't yell it out, even though it was on the counter in sequential order of which the drink was placed.
Daddy, chill.
And I thought, you know what?
Wouldn't you
I'll
like to
play
know,
your little
Weather Boy?
barista game. But the only drinks that I was still only allowed to pour was the Pike Place, which is the hot coffee that they brew, and then you just pour it into a cup. And I was allowed to touch the microwave for all of the food that would be in the case that guests would order. But again, I never once received proper training on drinks, and I knew that I never got proper training because I was able to go to other stores for extensive training, basically them telling me that I could get scholarships to go to college in their basements, not going to college in their basements, but the extensive training would be in the basements of those other stores.
Right,
And
right.
I asked, hey, what was your guys' process like for, training? And they were all like, oh, it was so wonderful. Our manager took us aside and taught us how to make each individual drink and what each line meant, and how much coffee was supposed to be here, and how much milk was supposed to go there, and how many pumps each drink got. And I sat there saying, oh, they handed me a picture book and said, get comfortable with it for 30 minutes. And then closed it and told me go out to the register. And the looks on their faces was like I had 3 heads. And that's when I knew, oh, I'm in a really bad situation, aren't I? And I'm only 18 years old and I have no idea of how to get myself out of the situation that I got in. It's almost like I signed a life contract. For some reason, I had every chance to get out, and I didn't, because I didn't want to disappoint my parents, and it was like my first job in New York City. So I kept it, and things got worse. There was one amazing coworker, we'll call her Mary. She was there rarely, but she was a shift lead. And as shift lead, she was like super passionate. She taught me the different roasts of the beans, what their flavor profiles would be from roasting, the caffeine content. And then she had me do like little tastings. There was this like dark chocolate brownie that was so good. And I had it with a sip of plain dark roast. And that paired so well together. Now, Mary and I, we only worked maybe 4 shifts together, and I would cherish those few moments. She was like Miss Honey, and the people who ran the store, Johnny and Melinda, were like Mrs. Trunchbull. So I really treasured my moments with Miss Honey, and they were few and far between, but that was really where I got the bulk of my training and what I thought was like the Starbucks experience, which is what everybody else at the other stores was experiencing, where they would take time and try things and get to understand so they can make recommendations or know what tastes good together. So I only had 4 shifts of that, and I took them and kept them close to my heart because I knew the rest of my time was going to be absolute hell on earth. And sure enough, it was. I eventually did go to the bar, and of all of the horrifying experiences I had, none was more terrifying than this one uppity white see you next Tuesday of a biznatch who wanted a matcha. And babe, I was 18 years old in 2011, and I came from a beach town. I moved there from a beach town. I didn't know what matcha was, so I got 2 packets of green tea, steeped them in water, and then added her milk of choice. And she goes, do you not know how to make a matcha? And I was like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about, actually. Is green tea not matcha?
No, God!
Here's your drink. So I really just like wasn't set up for success on any fronts. She did teach me how to make that drink. She looked at me as though it was my first day on earth. And babe, it might as well have been. Because I had no idea the green powder that we kept was stuff that you would drink. I don't know what I thought it was. No one ever ordered it. So that's why I had no clue what matcha was. Now, as an adult, I fully know what matcha is because that experience scarred me forever. I got taught by a customer to scoop as many scoops as she wanted in there. I wasn't charging her extra because that was a humbling moment for me. I was getting taught how to make a drink by a customer. Mixed it up and then handed it to her, and the way she grabbed it from me, she might as well have called me the F slur, and she was right. Now, I'll never forget that experience. That was a learning experience where I was set up for failure by Melinda and Johnny. I hate you both. I did eventually figure out how to make, some more specialty drinks because I was watching the other baristas and how they made their drinks, and I started picking up on those skills because no one seemed to want to teach me a single thing. That lady with the matcha, she still haunts me. Y'all fighting? My cats were fighting. Let me preface this next really bad story with, it was 2011, okay? It was 2011. Mobile ordering did not exist. And just to be exact, it had a little bit of a tryout in Seattle in 2014 and had a full rollout in September of 2015 across all stores. I didn't make it to that time, baby. So while I was there was no mobile ordering. Okay, so you had to learn the people's faces as they came in, the regulars, and you had to have their drinks either written down and placed along the assembly line or, poured and ready to go. I was new. I'd been there maybe 3 weeks. I had no idea who half of these people were because at very best, I was at the cash register. I was typing in the best that I could, all of the bullshit people wanted to add into their drinks, and then picking up the cup and writing down the orders as quickly as possible in New York City, while we have a line out the mother door. Being new, I was not used to everyone's faces yet, and of course, I got this raging housewife, the really real ones that aren't on TV, that are raging, see you next Tuesdays, and a capital C.
And that's how Sue sees it.
And she walks in, she's about 3 people back from the register, and she is looking as stuck up and as impatient as humanly possible. Babe, you're in line at Starbucks, you should have had your nanny do it. Don't be mad at me. And I greet her by saying, hello, what can I get started for you? There's a pause. She replies with, shouldn't you know? Obviously, you don't, because I see it's not being handed to me right this moment. Yeah, I said, ma'am, I'm sorry. I don't know your order yet, and that's why I'm asking you, what can I get for you? And she replies in the nastiest tone. The Pike Place, clearly pointing right behind me. And I say, of course, would you like room for milk? And she said, wow, you really are useless. And by this point, I've hit my threshold for rich, white, entitled women. And I pour her drink, place it on the counter, and say not another word. And then she takes the lid off and throws it back at me by calling me a worthless little effing see you next Tuesday. Poured all over the front of me, all over my arms. In that moment, I step away from the counter because it's either me swinging on this woman or telling my manager that someone just threw hot coffee on me. Thank God the coffee thermoses did not keep their heat. So I didn't sustain any actual burns, but my arms were red for quite some time. I immediately run back to Melinda and tell her exactly what happens. And then Melinda says to me, well, what did you do to upset her? Okay, so, what the f? Like, my arms are burning. They're red. She threw coffee on me. At what point are we siding with her? I have just had hot coffee poured on me. At this point, she's in the wrong. Right? Wrong. I tell her, well, I don't know her as a regular, so I didn't read her mind and have her pike place ready. So Melinda goes out there to confront her and apologizes for my behavior and that it's all my fault and that I will be dealt with. I should have left then. But you know what? Maybe I was just a glutton for punishment. It gets worse. I went home with my red arms, and thank God I didn't blister or have lasting damage. Like I said, the thermoses did not keep their heat, so at least I wasn't third-degree burned by scalding hot coffee. Now, looking back on it, I would have sued that and Melinda for not sticking up for me, that dumb, rich, white woman for throwing hot coffee on someone. Babe, that's assault with means for disfigurement. You're lucky I don't know who you are. The internet might find you.
Run.
Let's get to the next major event. We have to clean up the store because it's filthy. Are we surprised? No. And somehow there is a 40 square foot section that is all for me to clean because it was the section that nobody wanted to clean. Excuse me. It was where our sanitizer was and the fridge. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of milk in the fridge. And sometimes people don't clean up after themselves. And sometimes we have cottage cheese when we didn't buy cottage cheese. Right? Okay. And we had to clean all of the tiles, but let me tell you, I was like, you know what? This is a moment that I don't have to be in front of customers. I don't have to answer anybody's stupid requests. I don't have to be looked at like I'm a moron, probably because I am, because I wasn't set up for success. And I cleaned the ever-living heck out of that space. But once that area was done, and Cinderella had done all of her work, and it was spotless, shining, literally like chrome from that one SpongeBob episode. Future! I was told that it wasn't good enough, and I was going to be the reason that we failed the health inspection. Right, when there's an entire store that all of you are supposed to be cleaning, but you're all sitting on your asses, and there is gunk and food caked all in the grout on the floor, out by the cash register, out by the bar. It was filth city. The basement, a nightmare. The stock room in the basement, even worse. It was just so many violations left, right, and center. The fact that the store was still even open when I was working there is a shock. The health inspector comes in, and we got most of the cleaning done. Melinda and Johnny were on edge the one time that they appeared to give a single about their job. When I tell you complete 180, I've never seen them do their jobs so well. Greet customers, clean the counters immediately after making a drink, clean every single thing, clean the steamers every single time. I was like, oh, is that what we're supposed to be doing? Why haven't we been doing that? They get up off their asses and they come make drinks. And I was like, oh, so y'all know how to make drinks. You don't know how to teach people to make drinks, but y'all know how to make drinks. Okay. I thought you only knew how to sit in the back and avoid doing work. What the hell? And then making fun of everyone for doing the best that they can and having a smile on their face. Right. Soulless bastards. I'm sure you'll be shocked. When the health inspector came, we didn't pass. Yeah, they had to basically extend the health report and give us some extra time to get a grading. And they said that the cleanest part of the store, and the part that they were most impressed with, was a 40 square foot section in the back where the sanitizer and the fridge was. Oh. Okay, so Cinderella did do a good job, and these people were gaslighting me. And the store was dirty because y'all are nasty. And you put me on a cleaning task, and you try to make me feel bad because y'all can't clean your own God-forsaken store. At this point, I'm starting to come to. I'm starting to realize, things are bad. Things are really bad. and I think I might be harassed in the workplace. So, really quick sidebar. Before I started working at Starbucks, I always hated milk. I think it's the most repulsive drink on the face of the planet. If you sit down and have milk with dinner, jail. You're a criminal. And I have a few very, very good friends that choose to have a glass of milk with their dinner. And do I think less of them in those moments? Yes. Do they know that? Absolutely. But other than that, they're wonderful people and I love them.
Right.
But
Right.
if you're drinking a glass of milk with dinner, see a doctor. That's not normal. Of course, what does Starbucks have a lot of? They have a lot of milk. As you can imagine, it was kind of my worst nightmare in those moments. And you know those little turbises that have the milk inside of it so you can customize your own drink and they're sitting out on the bar by where all the sugar is? Well, I would have to clean them. And from time to time, my cat is coming in here, Anastasia. Do you want to come up? Say hi to the lovely people. Okay. I would have to clean them because nobody else wanted to. They'd be like, Josh, can you go clean the turbises? I'm sure you can see all the hair floating around now that I pet her. The joys of being a cat parent. I have to go clean them all the time. I don't just get to enjoy working. I'm the one that's always cleaning those godforsaken milk-filled turbises. Ew. So I would bring them to the back and have to pour them down the drain, and I would watch them all, different consistencies, and y'all like drinking that shit? You're gross. Truthfully, you're gross. This is not against Starbucks, it's against my store. It was against my store. So, with that, I remember hating 2% milk the most of all, because why are you watery? Why is the milk see-through? That's gross. Like, as if milk couldn't get worse, they were like, actually, let's make 2%. And the second worst part of that, other than watching the chunky milk go down the drain, would be putting those turbises inside of the sanitizer, and the sanitizer is really hot and it steams them. And the steam that would come out when you'd open the drawer, I'd always try to turn my head, but it was always just a big cloud of steam, and it would fog my glasses, and it just smelled like hot milk. It was, oh my god, it's so gross. I really, you need to see a doctor if you love milk. That's so gross. That puff of dirty, yucky milk would hit me in the face and it would knock me on my ass every single time. The gag that I would let out was just as my glasses are fogged with milk juice. I hated milk before, and then I hated it even more. I didn't think it was possible. But Starbucks, girl, you did that for me. Now that we're done with the milk, let's get to my two really, really sweet stories. Now, with all that being said, all the bad things that did happen, and don't worry, there's one more really horrible thing that happened. That was the final straw for me in making my decision, not leaving, but making my decision to leave. Let's talk about some really sweet stories. Even though I will never work in the service industry ever again, I give props to everyone who does work in the service industry. I love you. I give you my whole heart. I appreciate you going into battle for all of us. Thank you. Always tip your servers. Good things still did happen in this really awful, horrible place. There was this sweet old man who used to come in on Sunday mornings, and he would buy the New York Times in all quarters and have a cappuccino to stay. So I'd get him a really nice mug and make him the perfect cappuccino, because by this point I had learned how to make good cappuccinos. Like, I will say, by the end of my time there, I was making some banging drinks with no help from training, only help from doing. Now, on Sundays, it was really, really slow, so I got to take that time to really craft him his drink. And thank God, because I needed a break from the hustle and bustle of every single day. Now, mind you, Sundays still were busy, but it wasn't like slammed out the door around the block like it was every other day. And he and I, we would chat about our days and about my future, his future. And the one thing that he said to me, and I'll never forget, and this honestly changed my outlook on life. He said, Josh, I just want you to know, keep the kindness that you approach the world with. You have a great personality, a wonderful smile. Do me one favor. Never let the light behind your eyes fade. You're so full of life, hopes, and dreams. Never let go of that. I told him, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And don't worry, I'm too stubborn. I'll never lose the light behind my eyes. We had a nice laugh, and I do think about him from time to time, and our Sunday morning chats over the New York Times, and the fact that it was bought with quarters, and like, we still had newspapers. I don't know if he's still on this earth, but if he is, I hope one day we cross paths again and I can show him all these years later I still have the same passion and drive, and maybe we could share one more early Sunday morning and go through the New York Times reading the arts and literature section once again, planning a future that might not ever be, but how great it would feel to dream up the impossible in the middle of Manhattan on a Sunday morning. Well, that brings me to my next super sweet story. This one is pretty unforgettable. This one had big impact on me. And I know you're not supposed to meet your idols or meet celebrities because they could be really mean. And I do not think that the people that I like are mean people. So I've never had that problem. And I don't think I ever will have that problem. Fingers crossed. Maybe one day I will, put my foot where my mouth is. Whatever the phrase is. I served a drink to someone really, really important to my childhood, to Heather Matarazzo. Now, at the time, it was late night and we were close to closing, and there was this young woman and 3 of her friends come in, and she was so nice, and her whole party asked me how my day was. And that came as such a shock to me because people would just bark their orders at me before I could even say hello, let alone look them in the eye. So this really snapped me out of the loop that I was in, and that moment, something familiar about this kind young woman's face, but I couldn't quite place it just yet. And I proceeded to ask her what she would like to drink, and she responded with, "Make me your favorite drink. I trust it's delicious." And again, I was floored by how fun and whimsical that interaction was. That moment of just whimsy and joy and not really expecting that to have happened has always sat with me. I began making her the Very Berry Hibiscus Refresher with half lemonade and half water. And for a moment, while we were sharing playful banter back and forth while making her drink, it clicked. In my mind, I said, oh my God, that's Lily Moscovitz from Princess Diaries, and she's standing right in front of me. And then I said to her, you look so familiar, kind of like someone I know. And she said, with a wink, I'm sure you do. And that was all the confirmation I needed. I let her keep her secret. I gave her a wink back, and she thanked me for the drink, and she said, wow, this is delicious. I knew you wouldn't let me down. And she told me to have a good night and thank you. And I said, thank you. And to this day, that is one of my favorite celebrity interactions. So casual and so kind, and truly just an example for all of us, because we're all just really humans at the end of the day. So it was really nice to get to see the human behind the character, and I'll never forget it. That really, really sits in a special place in my heart. Let's get back to the horror part, shall we? Yeah, you thought we forgot about that? Yeah. You thought we were having a good time? Yeah. No. So, the next massive health code violation. One day where they had me cleaning up shit. And yes, I really do mean that. One of the toilets got clogged. The toilet was clogged, and it started flooding right? Because that's what toilets do. They overflow when they're clogged. And they started filling up the bathroom. And then from there, a pipe decided to and spray water. So now water was rapidly coming out of the toilet and out of the bathroom and now into the restaurant. And we were scrambling to get all of the customers out so we could start cleaning up the mess because Johnny told us we needed to clean up the literal shitstorm.
Oh, hell no, man. What the
Yeah, I put on some covers over my legs, got some big old gloves, and we just started trying to get it
Well, you're really doing it,
out
aren't you?
into the street.
You're shitting in the
and
street.
into one of the drains. And one of my coworkers said, oh, it was my coworker, we'll call her Alice, who brought up, oh, this is an OSHA violation. And I'm thinking, at 18 years old, what the is OSHA? Who is OSHA? I know there's a OSHA of shit in this restaurant. Who the is OSHA parading out of the bathroom, flooding the restaurant? So, of course, this was a multi-level, so we were having a basement that was now starting to fill up with poo water. Literal shit storm, shit swirl. And coworker of mine, Alice, she's like, you know what? I'm not doing this. This is an OSHA violation. You can't have me do this. Johnny was like, no, you guys have to get back to work. You have to. She goes downstairs, and because there's a poo river flowing through the restaurant, she slips down the stairs and bruises her tailbone. And in that moment, I knew I have to start making an exit plan. I really have to start making an exit plan because I don't think this is right. I think this is really bad. She just got really badly hurt and now she has to go on workers' comp. And I thought workers' comp was just in those training videos that you saw in comedy specials that like actually didn't happen. No, these things actually happen and I watched it with my own eyes. She fell all the way down a lot of stairs on her ass. All of that could have been completely avoidable had we been sent home and somebody else came to clean it, right? Yeah. Again, 18 years old, don't really know what's going on. Just doing what everybody else is telling me to do because I'm still literally a child. Frontal lobe has not frontal lobed. Let's get to the final day. After the literal shitstorm. Probably the busiest day ever because it's 76 in Columbus. It's one block over from Central Park where the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade starts all the way up on the Upper West Side and then makes its way down to 34th Street in front of Macy's. And guess who wants coffee? People who are watching the parade. And they're all the worst kind of people. Not a single kind person. And mind you, I was wearing one of those stupid elf hats with the elf ears on them, being all happy and cheery, asking people what they wanted to drink on Thanksgiving Day, while there's a literal parade happening a block over from the store. After a few more cuss outs from customers, I threw my ears on the floor and said, F this shit. I'm out. See you all later. See you all never. I'm coming back to pick up my final paycheck. I'm done. I'm out. That, wearing the elf ears on Thanksgiving while getting screamed at by people who are watching the parade that I wanted to be watching with my family getting fat eating turkey. I was at Starbucks. Now, I did write a letter of thanks to Johnny for hiring me for the wonderful first job in New York City experience. Thank you for taking a chance on me. I really appreciate it. All the sweet things that you would write to a former employer to maybe not burn a bridge, right? Well, he showed it to all of my coworkers. And he called me weird and a freak and that I was strange. And I found that out when I went to go pick up my final paycheck. And I was like, oh, good. So my boss is bullying me. Sick. I'm so glad I don't work here anymore. I picked up my $200 and I got the out of there and never looked back until I received an update from somebody who was still working there on the last day that the store was open. So Johnny got arrested for embezzling from the company and the store closed permanently. Wow. Even though I wanted to wish all the ill will on that store and everyone who worked there, especially Melinda and Johnny, the universe took care of it for me. They lost their jobs. Johnny was fired, of course, while being arrested for embezzling money from the company. Hey, so that was a really bad situation. And I should have seen all of the signs sooner, but you know what? I was 18 years old. What was I gonna do? Now, was it really nice having my little discount, getting discounted food, eating for cheap, feeding myself in New York City for cheap? Yeah, that was a pretty great perk. Being able to make my own drinks to my own specialty. I look back fondly on my 15-minute breaks where I would get my chicken pesto flatbread, put it in the microwave. They're ovens, but it's a big microwave. I would put it in the microwave and walk across the street to the basketball court, sit right outside, sit on the curb, and eat my little chicken pesto in the sunlight as the breeze was blowing. And I thought to myself, while looking down the entire street, wow, I'm in New York City. Truly the greatest city in the world, and I'm getting paid while living in New York City. Is it peanuts? Yes, it was $9 an hour. Shit. But I will look back on those sweet moments that I would have, the moments where I would ground myself in the pretty terrible environment that an 18-year-old really probably shouldn't have been working in, while their frontal lobe is still lobbing. I respect everyone in the service industry. If you spit in my food, I probably did something to deserve it. Now, that being said, I am the kindest to every person in the service industry because, babe, I was there in New York City. I was you once. All the power to you. You are truly the heroes of the service industry. Frontline workers in the service industry, you are God. You are not appreciated enough. And let me be the one to say, thank you. I know you have goals and dreams outside of the service industry. Keep pursuing them. But thank you. Thank you for all you do. And with all that being said, make sure you always tip your servers because you're going out for a dining experience and you should still be polite to those servers who are working. They are providing a wonderful experience for you because you were too lazy to cook at home. So make sure that you always tip your servers. Now, with all that being said, like, comment, share, subscribe. I'm really glad that you all picked this story to be my next YouTube video. It was fun to regale all of these horrific memories. And I'll see you in the next one.